If you're like me, it took you a long time to watch When They See Us, or you haven't seen it yet. Like I still haven't seen Fruitvale Station because I used to ride by that very station for years, and it's rough to watch. And When They See Us, it I was just like I can't watch it. It's just gonna be too rough until I just watched that first episode, and I couldn't stop. It's it's brutal. It's rough as shit. It's brilliant. It is a show that as much as it will pain you to watch, you cannot stop looking at it and just being at awe at everything that they portray in this show. And there's three particular things that I want to talk about. And first is Ava DuVernay and her direction, the way she's able to capture the actors' performances with close-ups and wide shots and the way the cameras move and the way conversations flow. But one thing in particular is from shot one, there's this light. It's sometimes really bright, it's sometimes a spotlight, it sometimes even distorts the screen, but from the very beginning it gets this really bright light that shines through. And it made me wonder, is this something like a light at the end of the tunnel or a vision of hope? Because we know how the story ends, but sometimes the journey is just, it's so distorted and blurred that sometimes you can't see it. So this light is shown to let you know that hope is always there. And just everything that DuVernay chose to do was perfect. The way she shot it and the way she got the performances out of the characters, and it even through all the pain, you see the hope that the actors are shining through. And that's the second thing about this show, is just how much the actors are able to demonstrate the amount of trauma and injustice and just situations that people of color cannot get out of. 5 kids were bullied and coerced and tricked and lied to implicate each other. And all because Laura Feinberg, or Laura, whatever the hell her name is, wanted to get a win. And while these 5 kids are sent to juvie and sent to jail, she gets to write a book. And the district attorney gets to get a win. And it's just, it was rough to watch. And episodes 1 and 2 specifically really got me, especially when they said boys will be boys except when it's us. We're not allowed. Black men are not allowed to be boys. Instead, they see them as animals, thugs. And I haven't even, in my life, I haven't even seen a thousandth of what these people in this show have gone through, and I still felt it and still understood it. And it's why it's so important to watch the show, because if you've never lived it, you can understand it by seeing this truth that as Raymond said, when asked why are they doing us like this, what other way do they do us? Not only do they send kids to juvie for something that no evidence linked them to, everything is circumstantial, coerced confessions. Then on top of that, their families around them are in situations where they can't do anything about it either. The Black and Hispanic men are just further traumatized because when John Leguizamo's character, when his son's in jail, he has to choose between being there with his son or going to work. And if he doesn't go to work, he gets fired and he can't provide for his family. And Michael K. Williams was absolutely ridiculously so good in this. Just he starts off you can see how good of a father he is, but the second he is faced with his past with the criminal justice system and having his son now go through it, the choices he makes out of fear, thinking he's protecting his son, and at first you're pissed at him, but somehow you start to understand, like, look at what he's gone through, and you may still be mad at the decisions he make, but you empathize with the amount of again, the word is trauma that he's been through in his life. And Michael K. Williams brought that out in every look and every breath, and just and with on top of the kids and how black men have to carry it, what's even more prominent and has been true throughout the entirety of history of life is black women carrying the weight of the entire family on their shoulders, and not only physically but emotionally and mentally, because, to tell you the truth, men are the weaker of the two sexes. Black women have to carry everything, and the way that is portrayed in here, how they have to watch their kids who they shape for years and years and years, to see their kids' lives go away within something that happened within 1 hour, and to have to carry that for themselves and their sons and their husbands. It's just, nobody is stronger than the black woman, nobody is stronger than the Hispanic woman, and just thank y'all. I say thank y'all. Lastly, Jarrell Jerome playing Corey Wise killed it. I thought episodes 1 and 2 were rough, and then episode 3 we get a little bit of reprieve, because you get to see some of the kids as adults and them getting out early, and you still get the injustices of when they get out, how they can't get a job because they can't be even consorting with felons who happen to maybe be in the same job that they barely are able to get hired from. But then you hit episode 4, and how Corey Wise, as a 16-year-old, goes straight from a kid who skips school because he's being threatened at school because he can't read and write, to Rikers Island. Jarrell Jerome, it hit me particularly because he's the kids I teach. He's the kids I see every single day. And that hit me particularly hard when every time they got a close-up of his face and you could see him trying to articulate the words that he can't get out. And at first glance, he looks like he would be the hard, rough kid who's seen stuff. And then he starts to speak and you realize this is a sweet kid in a situation, bleak, just situation that's so rough and so, again, traumatic. And all he ever does was try to be the best friend he can, try to be the best son he can be, try to be the best brother he can be. He wasn't even on the list of kids they were rounding up. He went to the precinct just to make sure his boy was good and ended up going to prison with adults for 14 years. And he still carried hope and faith throughout that entire time. And the way Jarrell Jerome was able to go from fear to anger to just wondering how to get the words out and the feelings out that he couldn't find a way to get through, but still with everything he had in his body, you could see that he kept saying he just wanted to go home. And my goodness, if he does not win everything, this show is something you have to be able to just sit down and just start watching. Um, a lot of us were too young or not even born to understand or remember what happened. I like thought back to the 14 years I grew up not knowing anything, and I just thought, while I was playing ball and hanging out, these kids had their lives that I got to live stolen from them. And no amount of $41 million settlement can make up for that. Can make up for the fact that they spent their lives doing that, while the policemen who decided to trick them into making their own math work out in their favor, and the jury who has to live with convicting them, and the judge who, and the DA, and the lawyer who's, I don't even care what her name is anymore, who at this at within months had a case that followed the same MO, but they didn't connect the dots because they just wanted the 5 animals and 5 thugs and 5 14-year-old adults, 15-year-old adults. They needed them convicted, and they got it done. And just to imagine the hundreds of thousands of cases who's not publicized and we don't know about. Go watch this film. Go spread the word about just anybody you know. Go tell them to watch this film, and any young black kid that you believe can handle it, make sure they watch this. If I could show this to my kids, I would. But I teach elementary school, so they're not ready for that just yet. But if I was still in middle school, it would be what we'd be watching right now. All right, family, that was my talk rant. Yeah, when they see us, it's must see viewing. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.